75% of Ukrainians are prepared to give up their citizenship in order not to be mobilized. These trends are clearly demonstrated by the panicked activity of those residents of the country who've managed to go abroad. They are now storming Ukrainian consulates abroad in the hope of extending their expired documents and transferring their property to their wives' names, because as soon as that law enters into force, they will lose almost any rights in their country. This is the reality that today Ukrainians have to live with. But assessments of this total lawlessness, of course, we haven't heard today from any of the Western colleagues. The reality is also that today Ukraine is surviving exclusively thanks to colossal injections of financing from Washington, London, and Brussels. Ukrainian civil servants, including diplomats, are getting their salaries from foreign states. Military hardware and outfitting for the Ukrainian armed forces is also coming from abroad. Long ago, the Zelenskyy regime lost everything that it had that it was its own. Essentially, Ukraine today is nothing other than a private military company in the hands of Western countries, the job of which is to do as much harm to Russia as possible. It is exclusively this that guides the Western backers of the Kiev regime by giving them money, arms, and they have no care at all for the lives of ordinary Ukrainians. Colleagues, the reality today is such that Ukraine does not have and will not have the resources, not even to achieve a breakthrough, but just to maintain the situation as it is on the contact line. And it's not so much a question of the ineffective use by the Maidan regime of the weapons that they have been given. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kuleba, for example, directly linked the failure of the counteroffensive with the, and I quote, paltry, dire state of the defense industry and stockpiles in NATO countries, end quote. There's only one conclusion from this, and for our foes it is certainly not concerting. The military plans of the Kiev regime have suffered a total fiasco, and so very soon, for you and your Ukrainian proxies, you can expect the very worst news. And yet, regardless of whether Washington and Brussels will adopt new packages of military and financial assistance for Zelenskyy and his gang or not, this will only draw out the death throes of the regime, but certainly not prevent it. It is entirely clear that betting on a solution to the Ukrainian crisis on the battlefield was a failed and mistaken decision, and that the military victory over Russia is an absolutely unfeasible aim. And yet the threats stemming from Ukrainian territory created by NATO countries will certainly be eliminated, either within the bounds of the special military operation or with the use of political and diplomatic tools. And we never rejected the latter. We gave the Ukrainian leadership an excellent opportunity to preserve their territorial integrity, of course without Crimea, which back in 2014 decided to become a part of Russia, and also to preserve their territorial integrity and the lives of hundreds of thousands of their citizens. This was in March and April 2022. The fact that this was an excellent option for Ukraine was admitted recently by Ukrainian negotiator Charlie. And the fact that the Kiev regime was not allowed to take this option by its bosses in London and Washington has now become a proven fact. The head of the Kiev junta, after this, for some reason, also signed a decree that directly prohibited him from negotiating with the Russian leadership. That decree remains in force, which is something that those who reproach us for not wanting to negotiate is something that they seem to forget about. And so time for the Kiev regime is quickly running out. Its future is truly under serious threat. Ukrainian civilians, the Ukrainian language and Ukrainian culture, however, has never been threatened by anything, however much in the West they try to prove the opposite. Our special military operation is not against them, but against the criminal Kiev regime that did not want to end the war against their own fellow citizens in the Donbass. Zelenskyy and his clique made their criminal choice, and they made that choice for all of the citizens of Ukraine. Our job now is to prevent him from destroying his people once and for all. We hope that at some point his Western backers will also realize this, and the sooner that happens, the better for Ukraine. Thank you.
From breaking news, detailed analysis, in-depth interviews, and explainers, follow the Times of India. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like our videos and hit the bell icon to stay updated with the latest.